To President Bush 43. Nicole, your summation.
You know, some of the same lines that Chris is talking about jumped out at me, and having been out last week on the road talking to Trump voters who were Obama voters, it was this sentiment that the jobs left and the factories closed, and while they celebrated in the nation's capitals, there was little to celebrate across the land. I thought that was the speech's strength. I thought the rest of it was unnecessarily dark. He is the leader of our country now, and having worked on George W. Bush's 2005 inaugural address, whose the central critique of that was that it was too soaring, too idealistic. It set out things that could never be achieved. This, to me, felt like a bit of an overreaction to that speech and the two Obama speeches. And, if we were looking to see how he would orient himself in these early days, he settled on a closing message that was about the forgotten man and woman. And much of our discussion in the closing days was about the Comey letter and the Comey fallout. But his victory can be attributed as much to him settling on a closing message about the forgotten man and woman. And it's clear that he believes that closing message gave him an animating purpose for his presidency. And that's what he spoke to today.
Nicole Wallace, thank you. Historian and author Michael Beschloss. Michael, what do you make of what we just witnessed?
Well, usually you hear an inaugural address and it's an effort to bring the nation together as much as possible. And I think that is not the road that Donald Trump took today. If you heard this and you didn't know the occasion for it, I think one might think that this was actually a party convention speech or a campaign speech, not an inaugural address. It was dark, it was fierce. There were very few olive branches thrown to people who are skeptical of him and might be open-minded to support someday Donald Trump as president, or to the other side, people who voted against him and who will never support him. And so I think as an expression of what he believes and what he feels emotionally about, it sure was that. But in the tradition of the inaugural addresses that are intended to heal the country after a bruising campaign and maybe even expand the new president's political base and appeal among the American people, hard for me to see how it does that.
Michael, can I just, sorry, Brian, can I just ask, the other sort of trope that we heard in this speech was when he was sort of railing against the elites in Washington, and Nicole highlighted that as one of the strengths of the speech. It's certainly an interesting point. I wonder if you hear any historical parallels there to him talking about this elite in Washington. They celebrated their own successes, but their successes were not your successes. That politicians and the political elite win things for themselves and the rest of the country should be posited against them. Does that have any historical echoes for you?
One little historical echo would be Andrew Jackson, who came in as president and said, I'm coming as the first president, didn't say this exactly, but said in essence, I'm the first president of the United States who's not one of the elites, who's not from the aristocrats. Everyone before me has been from, very aristocratic and elevated backgrounds. I'm going to represent, he said, the common people. So there is that element of it.
President Trump, did this achieve unity, sir? President Obama, are you relieved?
I didn't hear a lot of applause.
Sorry, Michael, you were interrupted there just by the gnat sound, the ambient sound on the camera as the president and the former president now walk across the rotunda.
I'm glad we got that. I think that's important to have. But I think beyond that, I think Andrew Jackson does not really provide much context for this. I think we are in all sorts of ways, we are at a singular moment in history.
For those who are newcomers to the terminology of this, President Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, and now we speak of Barack Obama as former President Barack Obama. Nothing illustrates that more starkly than the helicopter waiting to take off with former President, former First Lady. It is known for this mission as Executive One. It's normally known as Marine One, a short flight across the military district of Washington to what was formerly known as Andrews Air Force Base, now laden with the clunky Pentagon title Joint Base Andrews, as most of them are. But there you see the military lined up to escort the former president over to the aircraft. Both men will be coming out this entrance. Steve Schmidt, your assessment of what we heard.
I think there were two things that were striking. First, this Republican president's administration is not going to be animated by conservatism, but rather a fierce American nationalism. And it will be interesting to see that play out. Secondly, and very unusual for an inaugural address in the modern era, there was no articulation of American values, the values of the post-World War II liberal order, with the United States at the center of it, a communication to the world about our values of democracy and liberty and freedom and pluralism. It was a stark speech, and I think that the era of soaring rhetoric is over, clearly. It's going to be workmanlike pronouncements like you saw today from this president.
Let's take in some of this departure, and we'll continue our analysis.
First Lady Michelle Obama, and former United States President William Chief. Barack Hussein Obama, and the Vice President, Mr. Joseph Biden, the bridge is still up.
We should explain the Bidens are going to get a ride over to the train station. If you believe what they have said, their bags are packed, they're ready to go, as the song says. They are going to take Amtrak home to Wilmington, as was mentioned earlier, as they say goodbyes to the Pences, who will be taking up residence at their home, the Naval Observatory. There's been no greater champion in the modern era for train travel than Joe Biden. We're in seriously bad shape on that front, considering our history with the Iron Horse and considering what little high-speed rail, genuine high-speed rail we have in this country compared to the rest of the world. Now the attention will switch back to the two presidents and the departure of the former president, and we'll continue to take this.
son. Thank you.